Switching over to a lighter topic, like we talked about earlier, the, the Nintendo Switch was unveiled. We talked a little bit about it. We kind of cut off our conversation at third parties, and this is where I want to kind of get into. We were talking about them showing Skyrim and stuff like that. The list that they showed off is really impressive. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, the Wii U had a list like this too. I agree with that. But I still don't really remember seeing this kind of wholehearted agreement of like, we're on in this tech with Wii U. I think it was like people signed their name and they're like, we'll try something. With this, it seems like people are really excited for this because it gives games longevity too. Like, for instance, with Skyrim. A lot of people don't want to play that. A lot of people want to play Skyrim mobile because that sounds cool. It's like, I don't want to play it on my console, but if I have a chance to play it on the go, that's actually interesting. I might hop back into it, you know? One of the most surprising names I saw on that list were two of them. Telltale and From. From, obviously, because playing Jesus, where am I? Playing Dark Souls mobily is something super cool and super interesting, and that'd be super fun. Telltale, we actually talked about, like, I think the Telltale games are kind of suited for mobile as well. Like, playing the Telltale games mobily would work tremendously well. And the list is huge. There's plenty of publishers and devs on there, and I'm super excited for this. We were going back to the discussion of how it looks like an actual piece of tech. I think that's on purpose. I think the fact that you can take off the controllers and it kind of resembles a tablet somebody would use is on purpose. You figure somebody's going to buy this, they're going to play it, their kid wants to watch Netflix or something or YouTube, you can take off the sides of the controller and hey, it's a tablet. We don't know if it's touchscreen yet. No one touched the screen on the trailer, but they haven't confirmed or denied that yet since we have so little information. But say it is a touchscreen tablet, that makes total sense. It's kind of like taking a lot of their previous ideas and making them good, I guess. You know, the tablet functionality of the Wii U, but it doesn't look like a Fisher-Price toy. The detachable parts. Detachable parts, people are saying, well, you can lose them. Well, that's an argument with anything. You can lose anything. Just take care of it. Like, what are you? Can sign an animal or something? Also, I think it's going to be, they're going to be able to be
throwing shade.
I think they're going to be like clickable. Like, they're not just going to like slide off easily. You know, you're not just going to be like playing in what are they, Joy-Con controller? Slides off or flies off?
I get the concerns because there's a lot of moving pieces and there's a lot going on. So not only might you lose them, but the more you click and unclick them, like do they start to get loosened up and eventually break and then they won't click in, that kind of stuff. Like that's a legitimate concern. Anytime you have more moving parts in a piece of technology, like it's more at risk to fail, just like hard drives fail more often than solid state drives because there's actually a disk sitting in there. But it's a legit concern, but that's why I look at it and I'm like you, Jared, I'm never going to take those little side controllers off unless I'm putting it onto the other one, right? I'll just leave it docked rather in the thing if I'm playing on the TV and then use the Pro Controller. Just leave the side controllers on it.
One of the brilliant pieces of design, and I think this is the way it works, is when you put that thing in there, it actually charges the mobile unit, which I think is brilliant if that's the case because it gets away from taking up so much space. Like you go and put the tablet on your entertainment center, and they have to plug it into the wall. It's a whole other thing, and it's there, and then the console's there taking up a bunch of space. But if you actually, it's really ergonomic. If you put that thing back into the console and it charges it, it takes up less space. Like you said, I think I'm going to have those things on the side of the tablet at all times, and then if I want to play on my TV, I have the Pro Controller. Them showing the Pro Controller to me was them like, hey, we understand you might not want to use our funky stuff. We're giving you an actual controller again. And they've had Pro Controllers in the past, but it never seemed to me like that was the forefront of any of their consoles. It was like, here's the Wii U, and then the Wii U would release, and they're like, oh yeah, you can buy the Pro Controller, it's on shelves. But this, actually, them having it in the debut of their console, the first time we see it, hey, there's a Pro Controller there. I think that's big. I think that's them saying like, yeah, we like that, you can take out these controllers and play it this way, and it's kind of funky, it's kind of gimmicky, but here's the Pro Controller. The interesting thing is to see if that's bundled in. I doubt it, but if they do bundle in the Pro Controller, that'll be a real interesting move because they're saying like, hey, we understand you may not want to play the way we want you to play and you're used to consoles. So it's going to be interesting to see their battery life is a huge thing. That's probably the number one aspect of this being day one for me. So right now I'm 100% sold. I want to get this day one. But if they come out and say like the battery life is awful, immediate no buy for me.
And awful would be like anything less than 4 hours. And even that's questionable. I think it needs to be at least 5.
I would be okay with at least like, obviously they wouldn't go halves, but like 3.5 and up is cool with me. Anything below that, kind of iffy territory for me personally. Also, these are kind of like dream.
It defeats the purpose.
Exactly. There's also like account management. Is there going to be an actual account based system? Is there going to be an
Yeah.
achievement trophy based system? Like I understand Nintendo doesn't want to copy other people, but like I'm pretty sure PlayStation at the time didn't want to copy Xbox and have achievements too. But they're like, oh, this is a really good way to build a legacy for people, and it keeps them kind of loyal to us. We'll introduce trophies. Yeah, it will seem like we're copying them, but at the end of the day, who cares? Nowadays, people don't care that PlayStation copied Xbox to have trophies. You know, no one cares. It's their own system, and no one will care if Nintendo does it. They'll care in the sense of like it's awesome, but they won't be like, oh, you're just copying these other consoles. No, that'd be cool. And that goes back to like the worst part about Nintendo is in the video game industry they have such a legacy, but as a user using Nintendo products, there's no viable legacy there. You know, you even have to buy their games over and over again. You know, so it's like there's no longevity to Nintendo, which is sad. You know, so. I'm interested to see what the Switch has for us. Plenty of details to come. I think there's probably going to be a direct by the end of the year, I would assume. Yes, so for me, it's battery life. Outside of that, what do you guys like? What do you guys want to hear about? Do you guys want to hear about the launch lineup? Do you guys want like what are the aspects you guys don't want to hear about?
So the first thing I think they came out and confirmed too, because there was speculation that the dock had extra processing power inside of it. And was it Reggie? Someone came out and said no. All the dock does is give power and a port to the TV. So you're using the same processor whether you're playing on mobile or on the TV, which is what I wanted. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people wanted it to be more powerful when they plug it into the TV.
That's on Nintendo.
I wouldn't want that just because, because for me, I don't want my mobile experience to feel gimped, because then if I'm ever playing on mobile, then I feel like, well, I'm not getting the best experience if I just go in the other room type of thing. I would rather have it consistent, uniform across for this anyway. And because I also have another box and a PC that are way more powerful
And that's the thing is, no one's ever going to buy a Nintendo console for its power. People want to make sure, is it a console that there will be games on? Is it good for me? Cool. People aren't like, oh, is a Nintendo the most powerful console on the market? No, the issue that people had in the past wasn't that the Wii U was underpowered, which it was. It was that there was no game support and it was a dumb gimmick, you know? Those were the issues with it.
Yeah.
As long as...
so that was my biggest question. So that was my biggest question, was about whether or not they're going to have external processing power. For me personally, I would have to be the opposite of you, Dom. I'd think that I'd really like to have some extra processing power, especially as big as that dock is. I mean, with what it's doing, with just adding, charging your tablet essentially, and then being an HDMI out port, I really don't see why the dock itself needs to be the size of the tablet and then some. I really kind of wish that I would have, like if it was 1080 60 on your big screen, and then it was maybe 720, which is still a very high resolution.
A lot of the rumors are 900,
30 frames per second.
A lot of the rumors for the handheld version of it. So
right, so yeah, it's got to be the same either way, and then you could have an actual bump when you set it down on the dock, which would be nice to me. And I don't really expect my even though this is the case, I don't necessarily expect my mobile gaming experience to look exactly as good and feel exactly as good as the home experience. So I'm a little disappointed there, but you don't get that power
the thing
bump.
is that it could be that it's so minuscule that they don't really want to talk about that. Like it could be Reggie saying that, but what if it is a 900p on the mobile and then 1080 on the console version, but he just doesn't want to say it because it's so minuscule and you're getting into numbers and that's not Nintendo's game. Like we don't know that yet,
So that could very well be the case, because you wouldn't necessarily need extra processing power on the dock to go from 900 to 1080. I mean, that would have very little effect on the actual game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if
that's
was
a
the
possibility.
Case, if that was the case, I don't even think that, like, personally, that wouldn't even matter to me. It's such a small difference. But what I am excited about is the fact that you are getting such a nice experience on the mobile, and it is going to look good. I don't think there's anything that comes even close. Not even the Vita comes even close to the visual fidelity that they were showing off in this trailer. So another thing, kind of going back to what I said about Red Dead earlier, this was almost like their version of an environmental trailer. Like, it didn't have the details, showing off a console, especially this close to the launch. I get that they're probably going to trickle things out and they want people to be talking continuously up until the launch, but I would have appreciated it a lot more if we had that trailer. And then, you don't have to do a whole hour-long thing. And hell, you don't even have to do anybody talking. Like, I don't need to hear Reggie's voice or see him or
weird
any
puppet
of the
jokes.
Japanese guys. Like, yeah, like I don't need the whole Nintendo Direct. But if it had just been the trailer and then 15 minutes of, okay, here's the specs, here's how much it's going to cost, here's what it does, whether or not it actually gives you that extra processing power. If they had actually answered that in the reveal, there's a lot of things left unsaid, like how. They did a pretty good job of the visual representation of how the controllers are going to work and how you can detach them. But yeah, we're asking questions like, how are they playing NBA 2K17 or whatever it was with just these like 4 buttons and an analog stick? I really would have liked for them to delve into that. And personally, I think when you're revealing a console, if you're going to get me to buy that console, you need to be telling me what the console is all about. I need some more information than just... Hey,
well,
it's us not being assholes and actually giving people what they want. And I'm sure that they will, but it honestly it makes me not want to buy it day one just because they're kind of like hiding that stuff. They're keeping it from me, and I'm like, that's fine if you want to do that with a specific game like Red Dead. I'm not going to hold that against Rockstar, even though I don't think it was the right decision. But I definitely think if you're trying to get me to buy a $300+ console, even $200+ console, I need to know some more information right off the bat.
Another thing, one of the rumors is that this video is actually kind of the beginning of a whole direct that they probably didn't have ready yet. And the reason they showed off this trailer first and it came out today is because they have an investors meeting on Tuesday. So they're afraid that maybe some of the information will get leaked through that investor meeting, like the 2DS got leaked through an investor meeting a while back. So I think that maybe they wanted this out there beforehand, because even Nintendo is usually pretty good at saying like, hey, we have an announcement in a couple of days. It was really weird for them to be like, we're dropping a trailer tomorrow morning. That was really out of the blue, for Nintendo. Usually they're very good at saying, hey, we actually have a direct coming in a couple of days. Hey, we have an announcement in a couple of days. They're pretty good at planning that stuff because they understand how people are. And it seemed really like, yo, we're dropping a trailer tomorrow morning. It was really weird. Before we get out of this topic though and move on to Red Dead Redemption 2, really quick, I wanted to mention, so in the trailer they showed off a new 3D Mario game, which people are excited for. Me, if that thing is bundled in or like a launch title, which I assume it'll be, I'm super excited. In the trailer, it showed Mario like obviously in a 3D space, but it showed heart containers, which means that it's not the normal 3D Mario of like you're big, you're small, you die, right? It seems like it's harkening back to Super Mario 64, which if that's the case, if this is a spiritual successor to Super Mario 64, I am 100% in. 100%.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I definitely think that's what that is. I think you're getting your, not sequel to Galaxy, but what would have been the follow-up if they had actually done it on Wii U. As far as me going day one, I've kind of decided as I've grown a little bit older that there's really no console for me that I need day one. I think, they don't just shut down the old one. Like as soon as PS5 is released, they're not just going to turn off all our PS4s and they're just like not going to work anymore. I think that game libraries take a little while to be built up, and for me, when I buy a console, I want to have more than just 3 or 4 games that I want to play and then kind of like be run out of choices. So.
Well, that's that's the right answer, the logical answer. But a lot of us have that insatiable need to have the newest thing right when it comes.
Also, the thing is that none of us. Well, I don't know. Dom, do you own a Wii U? None of us own a Wii U, so I think it's kind of different. I 100% agree with you, Jordan, that sometimes it's not really smart to get in on day one on a console because, like you said, there's like 10 launch titles and then there's nothing else, which I 100% agree with you on. And usually it's like so varying of genres. Like there's a racing game, there's an RPG, and I'm like, I'm not buying the racing game, Right. But like with Nintendo, me personally, the reason I'm so invested in getting it day one is like I love Nintendo handhelds. I always have. I love them to death, and I haven't owned a Nintendo console since the GameCube. So for me, it's like if they're delivering all this stuff, I don't have a console I'm leaving behind. You know what I mean? Also, the thing with day one consoles moving forward. And this might be more of a probability for Xbox. We'll see, undetermined. But if it is backwards compatible, as they say it will be, that means that day one, not only are you getting the launch titles, but I have all of my games. So it's really not like I'm leaving my past experiences behind. I can just play them on this new console and not have to worry about 2 consoles being plugged in. So if I have those day one where it's my backwards compatible library like they do on the Xbox One now, I'm 100% sold on getting that day one, too. So Switch, pretty interesting.
I don't think it's not. Yeah, I don't think it's not smart.
I understand for you. Yeah, for you, it's not your kind of. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Go for it. I mean, my biggest thing is just I don't trust Nintendo, even though this is a very different. This trailer feels very different. It feels like, okay, we get it. We're gonna have third-party support. We're gonna have the sports games. We're gonna have this, that, and the other. But they've just, like I said on our personal chat, it's like, shame on me because they've already fooled me twice. So I can't be jumping into bed with Nintendo so quickly anymore.
I understand you have your reservations.